start చేసారా?
చేశానండి. So we have created the table and we have added some of the fields in this. Student ID, name, date of birth and gender. So in every table, so we will have one unique field. Unique field in the sense primary key field in every main master tables. Okay. So once you create the table, you have to decide what kind of table it is, what type of table it is. If you go to table properties, there are some important properties we have to set for every table. Okay. If you go and see here, you can see table group and table type. Table type, the default it will be as a regular. Okay. That means table type will decide whether this data has to be stored permanently or it has to be in runtime, temporary. Okay. In this we have three types: regular, in memory, TempDB. Default is regular. That means whatever the data you are creating in this table, the data will be stored permanently in the database level. Okay, if you take in memory or TempDB, these two are for temporary only. Only in runtime you can create the data. Once you close that form, data will be vanished. If it is TempDB, the data will be stored in the database level in runtime itself. Once you close that form using that, once you are stopped using that table or form, you close it, the data will be vanished.
Okay.
Both of them. So there are some differences between in memory and TempDB. Okay, we cannot assign the security keys and we cannot use the, if you set the in memory, the data will be stored in the cache memory, a kind of RAM. If you use the TempDB, data will be stored in the in the database level. Both are temporary only. In memory and TempDB both are temporary, but in temporary also somewhere the data has to be there, right? Temporarily. So for TempDB it will be on database level. For in memory it will be on cache memory.
Okay.
But there are some more differences between them. For in memory you cannot create indexes. We cannot create a variable and we cannot use that table as a runtime. In coding also we cannot use it. TempDB you can create indexes and you can create runtime, you can create the table buffer and you can use it. These things you will come to know later slowly, but you just try to understand regular table, in memory table and TempDB table. Okay, regular is permanently data will store. In memory and TempDB data will be stored temporarily. It will be deleted automatically when we are not using that table in runtime. Okay, runtime is nothing but if you open the customer masters, so you can see the data in the customer master. So once you open it, whenever the data you are seeing, that is runtime. Once you close the customer form, that means you have closed it. It's not there in runtime. Okay, that is called the runtime. You're understanding, right? The next one is table group. Table group is nothing but, so we have to decide what type, what kind of table it is.
Okay.
That means we are going to decide different types of tables are there here. Parameter, group, miscellaneous, main, transaction, all these things. So generally the default is miscellaneous. So since I am creating a table which I am feeling this is a main table, how I am feeling student table is the main table. So I am feeling as like a main table because I am going to store the main student details. Okay. If you take customer details or if you take vendor details or if you take employee details, all those things we call it as a main tables. Okay. If you take customer groups, vendor groups, something else, other group tables, we call it as a group table. We have that type here, group. We have like customer parameters, vendor parameters, all these are comes under the parameter table. Customer transactions, vendor transactions, all these are comes under the transactions. Worksheet header, worksheet lines, header tables, lines we will have, right? Sales order header and lines. Those all are comes under the transactional header and lines. Don't get confused, slowly you will understand. But here in our case, we have to make sure my table is as a main table.
ఇప్పుడు మిస్లేనియస్ అని ఉంది కదండి అక్కడ డిఫాల్ట్ మనం మర్చిపోయి మిస్లేనియస్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తాం అనుకోండి, కెన్ వి చేంజ్ లేటర్?
Yeah, you can change later.
Okay. And how can we identify whether it is the miscellaneous or main or remaining? What is the tables? this remaining table? How can we identify?
You see, I am saying it's a student table, student data I'm going to store in this table. So can you say it's miscellaneous table or group table or main table?
It's a main table, as told.
Yeah, if you are storing the customer student marks data, students marks, for example, I'm going to create one more table called student marks.
Okay.
So what group you can fix for that?
Can we take miscellaneous?
You can take transaction or miscellaneous. Don't keep miscellaneous. Miscellaneous is always like we don't know, like it's like something miscellaneous.
Okay.
When you have clarity, then definitely you can keep that group.
Okay.
For customers we have, for customer payments we have, for customer transactions we have, for customer we have different things, right?
Yeah.
Based on the data type, you can set that.
Okay. For each table, how can we identify? Do you have any notes or documents?
What is that?
Do you have any that is documents or notes? How can we identify like this?
What kind of notes are there we are talking about?
Material.
For each table you are talking about?
Yeah, for each table, what is the table? To express words, what is the definition? How can we find? Is there any material for this?
We have online docs for D365.
Okay.
You can get it here actually.
Okay.
I will tell you. For example, table properties. So here you can see all the table properties here. Find table group. Okay. Determines which group of table belongs to. Provide a method of categorizing a table according to the type of data that contains. The table group can be used. Define whether the system should prompt user when they update or delete the data. Delete from the table in form by using the table as a data source. And exporting data when you can use the table group to filter the records. Generally, this the table group mainly the purpose is to deal with the data. So based on the table group, we can decide this data is related to group data. This data is related to main data. This data is related to miscellaneous data.
Okay.
So when you are exporting the data, so based on the table group, we can export the data and we can use it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to see that all the table groups, each category also you can see here. The tables are primarily used for the parameters or setup information for one of the main table. The table that has table group property main. Typically, the table typically contains only one record per company. It's called parameters data. One record, whenever we have the parameters data, it always will be one record only.
Okay.
The table does not fit in any of the other categories. This is the default value for new table.
Okay.
The table
Okay.
example.
It's available in docs. Okay. I know. Okay. Thank you.
I'll share you in some time.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So we have created a student table and just set up as a main group. And if you take other tables, the standard tables, you can see there are some required properties we have to set. Like the main thing is label we have to set, and cache lookup we have to set, and primary index and cluster index label we have to set. These are all some of the important things. Primary index, cluster index, primary index, label, table field 1 and table field 2, configuration keys, developer documentation. These are all the some of the fields, I mean table properties we set. Okay. So we are done now. So we have done like create a table and set the required properties. That is done. Then so in a table level, in a main tables, definitely there will be one primary key field. Primary field will be there. So in my table, what is my primary key field? What is my primary field?
Student name.
Primary key field. Primary field.
Student ID.
Unique ID. Unique ID is student ID.
Yeah.
So unique ID we have to set for in a table actually. Unique field.
Okay.
Because if you take any main tables, customer table or vendor table or employee table everywhere, so you will have the identity field.
Okay.
That is unique identity. So in my table, so I'm keeping student ID as a unique identity. So what we have to do? So we have to go for the indexes. So we have to create how to make sure that field as a unique field, and how can we make that as a primary index. Okay, create a new index. Index concept is mainly to speed up the retrieval of process. I mean retrieval processing. While you are fetching the data from the to speed up the retrieval process, we use the indexes. Generally, if you take any general scenario, also general example, if you take any textbook, from the end of the textbook, we'll have lesson-wise indexes, chapter-wise indexes.
Okay.
So you can go to that index and you can directly go to that page without wasting your time.
Okay.
Right? Similarly, you can fetch the data by using indexes. Index will improve the data retrieval performance. So since we are, I am considering student ID as a primary key index, unique index, and create a new index, unique identity. Create an index, give the name. I will go to properties. Here I can give the name. Index name it has to ends with IDX always.
Okay.
Then once you create the index, then add your field into that index. Drag and drop or copy paste. Copy or paste. Once you add your field into that index, go to index properties, set allow duplicates, no. The default it is no only, so we'll keep it as allow duplicates, no. Okay.
Okay.
So allow duplicates no means it will not allow duplicates. So it's always will be unique index, unique field, student ID. So this is how we'll create the unique index. We can create other multiple indexes as a non-unique indexes. Okay. If you create another index, maybe that index may have name or with DOB. Okay, but this index is not unique. In a table level, we will have only one unique index.
Okay.
But you can have the non-unique indexes, multiple you can have.
Okay.
Okay, allow duplicates, yes. Save this. And this is done. Now go to table properties and we have to do one thing. Go to primary index. Here you have to set, before setting the primary index, there is already one standard primary index is there. What is that? Surrogate key. This is one of the important interview question. Surrogate key is nothing but, I was telling you yesterday, I was discussing with you, there is a rec ID will be there in the table level. But here you cannot. It's a standard fields, system fields. You cannot see those fields. Whenever you open the table, then you can see that. But in that list of this fields, you cannot see. Rec ID, rec version, okay, data area ID, partition. So when you go to the table properties, when you see that primary key index, you can see primary index is surrogate key. Surrogate key is nothing but its default primary index has been set up for this table. Every table will have the default primary index is surrogate key. That means the default index is on rec ID. Okay. That means surrogate key is nothing but the system is considering rec ID is as a primary key index. Okay. So default is rec ID because rec ID is always system generated unique identity field.
Okay.
Okay, now what I'm doing, I'm just removing that. I'm setting my student IDX as a unique index. That is primary index.
Okay.
Primary, this unique index I'm setting up as a primary index. So you may have like some other indexes, but this index I'm setting up as a primary index. Okay?
Okay.
Is it clear? Any other doubts?
Yeah, I will check the video and I will ask you because first of all I need to create that one and how to
No,
create.
but I'm opening in the browser.
Okay.
So I'm into USMF. I'm creating a data now here. So my student ID is 4001. I'm creating one more student ID 4002. So now I'm saving this record. It's got saved. Now I'm creating one more record. I'm creating one more record. So I'm saving this record now. Sorry, I did a mistake. I have not built that and I have not synced properly. Now I'm going to build this and I need to sync this actually. Should not allow to create the same ID records.
And for every each record, we need to build.
No, not like that. Not for record. Not for the record. You have done the customization. You have changed
Okay.
your logic here in your form.
Okay.
Yeah, table. బిల్డ్ అయిపోయిందండి సక్సెస్ఫుల్గా.
ఓకే.
సింక్రనైజ్ కూడా చేశాను. సింక్రనైజ్ చేయలేదు. సింక్ జరిగింది. సింక్రనైజేషన్ కంప్లీట్గా సక్సెస్ఫుల్గా జరిగింది. సో ఇప్పుడు నేను డేటాకి దీనికి సంబంధం లేదండి. డేటా కోసం కాదు నేను చేసింది. The reason why I did this one is we have did some changes on my table level. I have created my indexes and I have did some changes. It means I have done some development changes. So I have to build it.
Okay.
So I need to make sure that it has to build successfully. Then only that changes will be applied into that specific table level.
Okay.
Okay, that's the reason I did build. I'm just refreshing this page now. I have refreshed it. Let me create another record now and see. 4002.
అది ఆల్రెడీ ఉందండి రికార్డు.
ఉంది అందుకే I'm just trying it actually.
Okay.
Should not allow, right?
Yes.
So now that index concept is working. So as a primary key index.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So that means what we did now, we have created an index with unique index, unique identity we have created, and we have said that it's not allowing us to create a duplicate records. Okay, with the student ID, because I set for the student ID only, right? Okay. Unique index.
Before also you created the 4002, but it didn't any rebuild, so it's accepted. So correct?
Yeah, right. That is the reason, because my changes have not been applied over there.
Okay. So if you want to create the unique ID, at least we need to create 2 records.
I'm not understanding what you are asking.
For example, ఇప్పుడు స్టూడెంట్ ఐడి 2 అంటే అట్లీస్ట్ 2 రికార్డ్స్ అన్ని క్రియేట్ చేయాలని అడుగుతున్నాను. ఇప్పుడు మనం ఇప్పుడు ఇంప్లిమెంటేషన్ లో ఇట్స్ నాట్ రిక్వైర్డ్.
No, I didn't see. For your example, to show you that whether it is working or not, I have created like this.
Okay.
Okay, if you delete everything, create one record, so there is no any duplicate, right?
Yeah.
No, there is no any duplicate. There is no any duplicate. I am creating one more record. Okay, 3001. Now I am saving and see. At least without creating 2 records, how do you know there is a duplicate?
Yes, correct. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. This is the index concept. This is important.
Okay.
And the other thing is, once we create the index, of course, we have to set as a primary index. The same thing also, you can set it as a cluster index also.
Okay.
You can send the cluster index. Okay. So once this is done, the next one is field groups.
Okay.
Field groups concept is, we'll have the more fields, right? Generally in the field level, we may have like more fields. So by using these field groups, we'll group them actually. So if you have like address related fields, identification related fields, okay, your student marks related fields, so you can group them. Create a group, new group, and set the group name. Overview. And add whatever related to the identification. So I'm adding them into the overview. Sorry, maybe overview, I'll add all the fields. If it is identification related, I'll add the auto identification, because already it's there as a default field group. Or else you can create your new field group and you can add it.
Okay.
For identification, I am keeping it as student ID and name. Okay, so this is how we'll create the groups. The purpose of these field groups is, whenever you are developing a new form, whenever you are developing a form, there in the developing form designing area, you can simply take these field groups and you can add it. Instead of adding field by field, you can take this field groups and you can add it. In future, tomorrow, you need to add one more field. You will come here in the table level, you will add a new field. And again, you don't have to go back and add into the form level. If you simply add those fields into that specific group, whatever the group we are using in the design level, it's automatically update that field also in the form level. Okay, because this group I am going to use, I am using this group in the form level. Okay, in future there is a need, so I need to add one more field based on the customer need. So I'll come here in the field level, in the table field, I'll add that field, and I'll add that field into overview. That's all. No need to go back to the form level, and I don't want to add there, because this group is using there in the form level. Automatically, it will update there in the form without touching anything.
Okay. First, we need to create the field in fields, and then we can drag and drop it to our field. Correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
If you go to user interface, you go to custom group. You see here in custom group, this is a custom group form, standard form. You see here in the grid we have, right? This is the form. The form will be three things, three sections you will have. One is this form section, this all the nodes. The second one is design. Here in the below you can see preview on pattern.
Okay.
Preview is nothing but it will show you the form how it looks like. Okay. Pattern is we have a pattern concept for the form, like a template.
Okay.
A template concept. Okay, we will discuss that later. So if you see this grid control, in the grid control properties, you can see this group has been assigned. Data source is nothing but whatever the table we have added here in the data source, table will be added as a data source. That data source has been assigned. That is custom group data source is a table, is assigned as a data source. The table, you can see the data group. Data group is nothing but overview.
Okay.
Overview is the one of the table group. You go to this data source, that will take us to the table. And here if you see the field groups, you can see this overview. This overview we have assigned there.
Okay.
Tomorrow if something is required for the customer, we will simply come here as a add that field and we'll add to the overview. Okay. So no need to go back to the form level, and I don't have to design again. That is the advantage of field groups. Okay. The next one is indexes. We have seen about indexes. Any other doubts till now?
Yeah, first of all, I need to check the document, and I will practice this one, then I will ask you. Because you please go in the flow, and I will ask you later.
Okay, fine then. We'll wind up for today. We'll start the new concept tomorrow.
Okay, okay.
Okay, we are good actually. So I don't want to push many things. Initially, tables take little time because these are the base concepts. Okay, we need to go slow. Once you are good with the tables and using the tables and creating and relations and all those things, and linking to multiple tables and how do we do that relations and all. Once you are very good with the table structure, then we can go with the other things little speed up.
Okay.
Other things are interrelated.
Okay. And another thing, please send me the today's video as soon as possible.